Pesche Dolci, or Italian sweet peaches, are a classic at any bridal or baby shower or a special holiday or occasion. I'm going to show you the easiest way to make them, so let's get started.
Into your bowl goes 500 grams, 4 cups of plain or all-purpose flour. You can also use Tipo 00 flour if you have it on hand. To this, add 120 grams, half a cup of butter. I've melted mine and let it cool, but as long as your butter is really soft, that'll be fine. Add in 12 grams, 3 teaspoons of baking powder. Follow that with 3 whole eggs, 170 grams, 3/4 cups of sugar, 1 teaspoon, about 4 grams of vanilla extract, and half a teaspoon, 2 grams of salt. You'll also want to add the zest of a small lemon. I'm using a dough hook because it's a little bit more gentle to bring it together, but you can just as easily do this by hand with a wooden spoon. Once the ingredients start to come together, we're going to slowly add in some of our milk. You'll need about 50 milliliters, just over 3 tablespoons of whole milk. Add a little bit at a time, checking the consistency of the dough between each addition. If you wanted to add a little bit more flavor to these cookies, you could do half milk and half rum or whiskey or even peach schnapps. You'll know your dough is ready and it's had enough liquid added in when it's still soft but it doesn't stick to your finger.
Preheat your oven to 175 degrees Celsius or 350 degrees Fahrenheit. You'll want to bake these in a traditional, not convection oven if possible. The air from the convection can cause the peach halves to misform.
Give the sides of your dough a scrape with a spatula to make sure everything is incorporated and we're just about ready to roll.
Greasing your hands is really important because this dough can get a little bit sticky. Make sure to rub a little bit of oil on your hands before you roll your balls.
I'm also going to add a little bit of that oil to the top of my scale so the dough doesn't stick when I weigh it out.
To get perfect peaches, you'll want to weigh out each ball of dough. I'm using about 20 grams per ball, but if you want those slightly smaller, you can go as low as 10 grams.
Take a scoop of your dough and weigh it. My scoop is a little bit big, so I'm going to adjust the size of the ball depending on the weight. It may take a little bit of adjustment, but after the first few, you'll get an idea of roughly how big your ball of dough should be. Once it's weighed, roll your dough into a ball between your oiled hands and transfer it to a parchment-lined baking sheet. You may need to re-oil your hands and the scale a few times during this process. You don't want the dough sticking, and if you see any bits of the edges of the dough looking rough, it means they won't bake into perfect peach halves. Give your balls a little bit of space to grow on the tray. Once your tray is full, slightly flatten the top of each ball so that you get that oblong peach shape, and into the oven.
These are going to bake for 12 to 15 minutes until it has a light golden color on the top and it's a little bit more brown on the bottom.
The best thing about baking these traditional Italian recipes is that my kitchen smells just like my Nonna's.
My Nonna never hollowed out her cookies, but if you're using a pastry cream, you might find it a little bit easier to fill them if you scoop them out. You'll want to do this while they're still warm.
Turn it over and with a small spoon, start to scoop out the center of the cookie. Be careful not to go too deep. You don't want to break through the other side of your peach. Once your cookies have cooled, pair them up so they match with another equally sized half. You want to try and be consistent with matching each half of your peach. This was always my job as a little girl, to match up the peach halves.
You have a few options of filling. My Nonna always used Nutella, but you could also use pastry cream, and I've linked a video for that down below. Or you can use peach or apricot jam. I've also linked my easy jam recipe below. And if you're using jam, I'd recommend crushing up that scooped out bit of the cookie and adding it into your jam to add a little more texture. This also means you're not wasting any delicious cookie.
If you've hollowed out your cookies and you're using pastry cream, I would advise filling them with a pastry bag. But if you're using jam or Nutella, you can just as easily do it with a knife. Make sure that hollowed out center is completely filled with the filling of your choice. Do the same on the other half and sandwich the cookies together. And if you don't want to hollow them out, because my Nonna never did, just spread the filling of your choice on one side of the cookie and sandwich it with its other half. I find it best for these to set up so that the filling is horizontal. This makes sure that the top half of the cookie doesn't slide off of the bottom. Now that all of our cookies are filled, it's time to dip and sugar them. If you're using pastry cream, it's a great idea to let these set up in the refrigerator so that they firm up nicely. Pick up your peach cookie and gently dip it into your Alchermes. You want to gently turn the cookie so it starts to absorb the liquid and the color. But don't let it soak for too long, you don't want it to fall apart. Then straight from the Alchermes, add it into your bowl of sugar. Toss the sugar over the top of the cookie and then gently turn the cookie in the bowl of sugar, making sure it's completely coated.
Alchermes adds the traditional color and flavor to these peaches. If you can't find it in stores, I've linked to my homemade recipe for Alchermes down below. If you don't want to use alcohol or you just can't find Alchermes, you can use a few different options. Apple juice with a few drops of red food coloring is a great alternative. It adds that sweet appley flavor and the beautiful peachy color. If you wanted to add a little bit of alcohol in, you could put in a tablespoon or two of peach schnapps into your juice. Start with only a few drops of food coloring. You don't want your peaches to be bright red, you want that light peachy color. You can always add more food coloring after you've tested out your first peach.
That sugar starts to absorb some of the liquid from the cookie and it turns a beautiful peachy color. I have seen some people dip these in a yellow food coloring before they dip them in the red to get that alternating color. But my Nonna always just used Alchermes and they always looked so beautiful. Because the coloring of the Alchermes is not as strong as food coloring, the yellow of the cookie still shines through just that little bit and gives that alteration of color that makes it look like a peach. These are traditionally served in little white paper cases, so pop your peach into its case, then top them with a sprig of mint to represent the leaf of the peach. And now, share these with your favorite people. Buon appetito!
These will keep in the fridge for 5 days, or you can make them up to a month in advance and freeze them. They defrost really quickly, so you'll be enjoying them in no time. If you have some leftover Alchermes and you're looking for a traditional Italian dessert, you have to try my Nonna Zuppa Inglese. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and make sure to subscribe because I come out with a new video every week. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.